I'm gonna show you 4 simple dynamic stretches that's gonna help open up your posture and hopefully can even provide relief if you're having any neck or shoulder or upper back pain. The first one is called elbow to elbow, and it's for your thoracic spine, which is your middle to upper back. You're gonna get on all fours here. You're gonna grab your head. You're gonna come in, touch your elbow to your elbow, and then you're gonna come back up. Now, one thing that's really important to note is that we don't want you using your lower back to pull yourself up. The whole point is to have a stable lower mid-back and mobilizing your upper back using your upper back and your rotator cuff muscles. We usually go for about 6 to 12 reps, whatever feels good and feels warmed up. Now, you can take that a step further, and you can actually bring your arm across, call it a rib grab. And you want to follow your arm with your head. And again, making sure to not twist up with your lower back. This next one is called T-spine crunches. We're gonna go through extension and flexion of your T-spine. So you're gonna line up on the roller right around your shoulder blades, and you're gonna do reps of coming down and crunching up. The range of motion is not huge, and you might actually feel your neck working if you're either super tight Now you can scoot down a little bit more so that you're a little bit more on your upper back. You can do the same thing. Now breathing here is super important. Deep inhales and exhales. And do what you can to avoid using your neck too much. Because this is all about your thoracic spine moving, not about your head and your neck moving. If you remember gym class, you'll remember this warm-up. Shoulder windmills, where you start really, really small. And we want to go for about 5 to 10 reps. And then we slowly start increasing the range of motion. Slowly make bigger circles. And now you can actually start feeling a little bit of the stretch. As your arms come back, you might feel the stretch in your chest, or you might feel tightness in your upper back. And you can also go opposite. This next one is a test and an exercise. I've done a few videos on this one in the past. It's called wall angels. You're gonna set up with your feet a few inches away from the wall, your butt, your upper back, and your head touching the wall, your elbows, and every finger you have touching the wall. So that's step one. If you can do all that without pain, the next step is to come all the way down, still keeping everything touching the wall, and all the way up. Now, if you can't keep everything touching the wall, that's fine, but we're gonna stick to that range of motion and we're gonna stick to this progression. We're not gonna make it any harder because you're limited here. Doing a few sets and reps of this might help open everything up and warm up your shoulder joint, and the next time you do this, you might be able to get every finger touching. Now, the last variation to make it harder is try to flatten your lower back. You might not get it completely flat, but the point is we want to rotate your pelvis and make everything even tighter and contracted even in your abs and pulling your ribs down. So we really focus on just mobilizing your upper back. it's a lot harder and it's very uncomfortable. You can see here how far away my hand wants to be compared to when I let go. Now we're gonna go over some activation exercises. This is gonna help your posture because one of the issues with posture is that your muscles in your upper back and your rotator cuff are not working properly, or they're really not working at all. They also might be weak, so we wanna strengthen them and increase their endurance so that your body is more likely to use these muscles. So we can do that with something light like a band. You can even use body weight, but you might not feel it as much. So a band is a good way to go. We don't want it to be super hard. The first thing we're gonna do is a band pull apart. We're gonna hold the band out front and we're gonna pull apart. And we wanna feel, again, rotator cuff muscles, rear delt, and you might feel a little bit of traps too, which is fine as long as you don't feel the traps as your main muscle group. You can do them in different positions as well to target different parts of your shoulder blades, your scapula, and try and keep your shoulders down as well. Try not to shrug too much while you're doing this. Now, a common thing that people mess up a lot is if you're really restricted in your shoulders, instead of getting the full range of motion through your shoulder joint, people end up going like this with their lower back. So if you find that happening to yourself, one way to prevent that is to line up either against a wall or a post or a pole like this, and that prevents you from leaning backwards. And you can really isolate and feel it. Again, same thing with the band. If the band is a little too hard, either get a lighter band or just grab it on the single side instead of on the double side here. The next one is band over and backs. Really simple, and it's exactly like what the name of the exercise is. You give a little bit of tension, you pull a little bit, and you go over and back. And you can get as much or as little of a stretch as you want here. This is also a good opportunity to feel or even see if one side is tighter than the other. You'll notice these compensations from side to side very easily with this one. And just like anything, we're going for 6 to 12 reps. If you don't feel it enough, maybe go up to 20 or do 2 sets of that. Next, we're gonna wrap the band around a pole or around something sturdy. And we're gonna stretch our lats, because your lats may be tight, but they also, on the other hand, depending on your situation, you might actually have weak or inactive lats, and you might be working too much with your traps, and that may contribute to some neck pain or discomfort that you have. So if that's the case, this is a great stretch for you, because not only do you get to stretch the lats out, but you also get to now work them out, activate them, and really feel it. So I want you to grab your lat under here and just row back a little bit so you can actually feel it pulling. Now, it's not just your lats. Other muscles are involved as well, but it's the primary mover. You can turn it into an even bigger exercise if you want as well. Turn it into an actual row. Last but not least, one of my favorites, it's called the face pull. It's a little bit hard to do, and you gotta make sure that you're doing the right range of motion, but essentially you set up in your split stance, and you bring your arms so that they're in line with your head, and then you just pull in towards your face. And there you have it, 4 simple band exercises to help activate the upper back, the rotator cuff, and open up your posture. Hopefully you'll be in less pain and you'll have a stronger back.